they are ending Comona, my mention in free the English Premiership. And over the weekends, a lot of matches in the Todra or the English Premiership. It's now say a lot of updated by over the weekends. But one of the matches are it's me catching most of the people are was on Saturday, the early kickoff it's me Todra. That was between Tottenham Hotspur and then Manchester City. I think says so we'll check it, most of these clubs are or mabo against the side of Manchester City. No, most of these wins against Pep Guardiola, it has been the side of Tottenham Hotspur. In the last games at Tottenham Hotspur, it's Miabo against the side of Manchester City. They've been able to have close to about 8 wins in that particular, things for the side of that particular football club. Manchester United it is followed since Pep Guardiola overtaking the side of Manchester City. On which means really close to about 6 games at the Amano and the Liverpool Football Club during Jurgen Klopp time and even comparing to the side of Arne Slot, they've been able to win close to about 6 times within that particular football club. It tells you, say, in the English Premiership, so open most of these clubs are almost wins against Pep Guardiola. It is a certain Tottenham Hotspur, it is a certain Manchester United. Then you get the side of Liverpool Football Club, omitting almost 6 wins, and then Tottenham Hotspur with the most highest wins with about 8 wins and 80 miles in the successive row for the side of Tottenham Hotspur. But so we'll check Pep Guardiola and the tactical lineup or the two at the side of Manchester City. I think so it has been the same old story for Pep Guardiola. So we'll check it timer and I say last 2 seasons by my culture say Pep Guardiola with that kind of identity. About Edema Manchester City. He has that kind of identity about most at times as in the total dominant system of footballer or no matter or your idealistic system of coach. So most of it all so he makes sure say obey are controlling most of the possession rate, especially in the centric midfield of Manchester City. So I will check the tactical lineup of the two runner. It is the same old story of last 2 seasons. About a certain 4-4-3, 4-3-3, and sometimes too he plays the 4-1-4-1 tactical flexibility. The entire man about the 4-1-4-1, they say sometimes he wants to have just a one solid midfielder who will occupy the central midfield of Manchester City. At that same time, the also have a lot of numerical advantage to the side of Manchester City. So, progressive ball, he makes sure that he has a lot of numerical advantage to that side of opposing side for the side of Manchester City. And so, be checking the tactical lineup plan with their tune chain. You get the side of Rico Lewis or Orbo in that right full back position. John Stones Airbo as a right centre back. Ruben Diaz Airbo as a left centre back. Nuri Airbo in the left full back position. Then you got about Gonzalez or no Airbo in the deep line playmaking act role. People to me Bonnie generate a lot of passes. Gone are the days now Pep Guardiola agent and Arsenal was a certain Rodrigo Cascante. He was making sure that Sobono as a lonely pivot. That's the original Manchester City in Finfiwa. He gives you good defensive compatibility and at the same time so will generate a lot of passes. Eddie Akwa anymore, Kevin De Bruyne and the Bernardo Silva Momo will try as much as possible to play an impact as 2 double number 10s in attacking forwards of Manchester City. But currently as we speak, so we'll check Manchester City identity now. Bibia change. So when Nico Gonzalez on Udin Finfiwa as a deep line playmaking role at Manchester City, he wouldn't give you that twist of performance. Rodrigo Cascante Edbema in the time and Edbema Manchester City and all that particular form. No. In terms of attacking forward, Oscar Bob Ebo in the right wing forward position for the side of Manchester City. Ubina Ryan Sheki and the Tijani Rangers or no Omuji and Finfin as 2 double number 10s. As sometimes Ryan Sheki as an auxiliary striker just to support Obisa Ellen Holland in attacking front of Manchester City. Then you Obisa Omar Mamouche at that moment in time also in a certain war as an incisive striker just to support Ellen Holland in Manchester City. This tactical identity in the 80 main fa. So who could share Ubia about a typical 4-3-3 system? Our building a lot of things in the midfield solidarity. It tells you that he can easily conquer the midfield role of Manchester City. Checking the tactical lineup, Tottenham Hotspur, 82 we know him as a defensive midfielder. We know him as one of the core attributes of Jao Panhinya. He controls the midfield, making sure so Obetima creates a lot of defensive cover. The defensive structure of Onoaka Sandy side of Obo Edemomo. And we saw the kind of movement at Obo Edema the side of Tottenham Hotspur. Then they get Pepe Matasa or Obo as a traditional number 8 Obo as a boss-to-boss midfielder and 2 double number 6 in the shake of Rodrigo Bentancur and also in Finfin Edema Jao Panhinya. And they were able to close everything in Finfin Edema the side of Manchester City. At the end of it all, they were able to beat the side of Manchester City by 2 goals to 0. But so we'll check most of these coaches are back to back. Or used to 2 double clubs, 80 million, both the side of Pep Guardiola, the side of Thomas Frank Etoso. He used the side of Brentford and Tottenham Hotspur to be the side of Pep Guardiola. Then you talk about Antonio Conte at the time of coaching the Chelsea Football Club. No, he used the side of Chelsea Football Club to beat the side of Pep Guardiola. And at the time was also back Tottenham Hotspur. No, he was able to win against the side of Pep Guardiola in the English Premiership. No one Casadia found the side of Jose Mourinho, who at the time are not all ball and also all coaching Real Madrid Football Club. He used Real Madrid to beat FC Barcelona in the El Clasico at most of times. They talk about Manchester United will be coaching or meeting Manchester City in the Manchester Derby. He used them to beat them. So it is telling you, say, Thomas Frank has joined the races of Antonio Conte, and then Jose Mourinho has been that kind of coaches. They've been able to do that kind of history for themselves. Maminko, the Spanish La Liga, na Indian common. Daniel Ceballos, it might trigger that kind of omen. They say, at any moment in time, he can leave Real Madrid Football Club. Edin the side of Olympic Marseille. Your ball match in the and also bought the match against Real Oviedo. I sat here to say, Real Madrid Football Club might win and it will be over 2.5. And it came to be. But I will check the side of Daniel Ceballos' impact within that particular game. I always say one commanded the starting 11 for the side of Real Madrid Football Club. But I will check the numbers of the Real Madrid Football Club since last season. And even to this particular season now, it tells you, say, so Onuntimin commanded the starting lineup in that particular typical shape. I'm married a Lusu, the Olika Morris, or Mulusu Tony Cruz in the midfield. No, Nanka, I am actually taking second. Daniel Ceballos will actually become that kind of successor in the midfield role of Real Madrid Football Club. And could take Tony Cruz identity in the midfielder in terms of breaking line passes. Or no better media to the side of Real Madrid Football Club. No, Daniel Ceballos will be that immediate successor. And no better media say you at the Real Madrid Football Club. But Xabi Alonso, a tactical man. He knows that kind of players at any moment in time. The kind of tactical method of the opposing against any other football club. He uses some of these individual players who make fit in the system. And the air calling and said Daniel Ceballos wouldn't fit the system of Xabi Alonso and the San Jose Football Club in Echo. But as I will check the heat map of Daniel Ceballos, it is actually interesting. So when the heat map in the Atoso, the passing range, the Atoso, the Amamia, you heat map, so I'm about the passing range. This is the occupying passing range of Daniel Ceballos. When he's being played as a typical deep line playmaking act, on your static midfielder, sometimes I make it point clear, say, we have some other midfielders as all the move or static. They don't move. Or making sure to make more closing in the gap. Typical example is Moises Caicedo. But so when Daniel Ceballos that's the original midfield, he makes sure in the right midfield he will occupy most of the possession rounds for the side of Real Madrid Football Club. In the left midfield, Obetima opposite a lot of things the Real Madrid Football Club, especially so Omotra came back and defending very well the Real Madrid Football Club. He comes to join the defensive structure of Real Madrid Football Club, making sure say he will form the defensive compatibility for the side of Real Madrid Football Club in their defense structure. That makes him that kind of midfielder. So when you know in the midfield role for Real Madrid Football Club, he can easily do most of the successive runs for you in that particular midfield. In terms of passing ranges, the amount Tony Cruz and Luka Modric is somehow unique in most of these midfield dynasty as compared to other football clubs. At the time, Real Madrid Football Club is their passing accuracy. Daniel Ceballos Manchester, even with Carlo Ancelotti last season, so most of these midfielders within Real Madrid Football Club. More accurate passing at the side of Madrid in terms of midfielder, it was a certain Daniel Ceballos, most of it all at the side of Real Madrid Football Club. More close to about 80% of passing accuracy in the midfield just for most of the games of Edmar Carlo Ancelotti. And these are some of the passing lines on the other side of Real Madrid Football Club. So in the left-hand side of Madrid, he makes sure to trigger that press of Vinicius Junior for him to take on in any other opponent or meet a movie at the moment. And most of it all, no, breaking line and as a key passes for the Real Madrid Football Club in terms of attacking third, no, it was close to about 78 breaking line passes and key passes of the Real Madrid Football Club from last season even into this season, no matter as you know, it's close to about 35 key passes for Real Madrid Football Club. And immediately converted the goal into the goal post, no, as in terms of assist method, no, was 14 assists. It tells you, say, Daniel Ceballos is that kind of midfielder. So, on commanded the first starting 11, at least he can easily give you a lot of things that would enable him. But Diaby, Barcelona,
Got a quick mommy why?
So we'll check the history. I don't bet Barca. The last time we lose against Levante was 2019, and they were able to do that in the comeback era. Last season, the man Hansen Flick, the tactical things in the side of FC Barcelona was how we see a lot of comebacks. Edema FC Barcelona at any moment in time will share most of these football clubs, including the Champions League, go through the semi-finals now. In the Copa del Rey, he made a lot of comebacks, even against Real Madrid Football Club in the El Clasico. When it comes to the Spanish La Liga, he made close to about 3 comebacks, crucial ones, and Nketiah dropping the points in that particular Spanish La Liga last season. And Enra, the second game of boy in the Spanish La Liga, no, he was able to make that beautiful comeback for the side of FC Barcelona. But Nipo Timi bought that close identity and making sure say he will become that metronome in the midfield of FC Barcelona. It's a certain Pedri. Sometimes people find it very difficult to compare him with Vitinha. But so we will check the ball now, the side of FC Barcelona, Elbo Carril as a speaker. When you have Frankie de Jong or a good progressor of the ball, in the ball, even more than making sure say Obitima that particular field. So we'll check the artwork in that's now. These were the passing lines of Pedri in the midfield of FC Barcelona. And it tells you, say, at this particular crucial moment in time, Sebastian said, Hansen Flick, the high line pressing system now. Everything dictates and everything depends on Pedri. He has now become the dictator and he has now become the director or directing a lot of things in the midfield for FC Barcelona. And it was a good win for Barcelona against Levante.
Mate, but I mean, now you remember match, quick one. Send a record.
Well, it's going to be a very difficult game. Stats indicates that Liverpool faced so well. In their last 17 games against Newcastle, whichever venue, Newcastle winning match.
Last 17 games.
So clearly tells us that Liverpool our upper hand. So I foresee them say last 22 matches is still between the two teams. Always produces more than 2 goals. Liverpool always find the back of the net. And then I think about the last 8 or so, now 2 sides, Nubia Sego. So clearly, Liverpool best Newcastle our chance. But Newcastle problem is a team no unity in shared that name their manner is and they don't have force or more anymore. And their match, it's going to be